Following the woman, Han and his creations were led by the woman to her home. Though she stated that she was taking those plants to her neighbors, her home was several houses away. The term neighbor likely referred to anyone in the village. Her home was slightly smaller than the others next to it, with only one window next to the door. Entering into the home, they saw a part of the living room and dining room set up. There seemed to be a door that presumably led to a bedroom. With a communal kitchen area, they probably didn't need to incorporate one inside the homes. Against the wall seemed to be a place for various food ingredients, but nothing like a refrigerator to keep the ingredients fresh. The people here must have a high turnover for ingredients, considering it would all spoil quickly. The inside of her home was fairly empty looking, with just the bare essentials. There was a carpet, but that seemed to be the only thing to brighten up this dreary place. Even the table only had one chair, considering she was the only one living here. Master, I don't think we should stay here. I can take us back to the stronghold, and you could sleep in your chambers. This place does not suit a being such as yourself, Helanya whispered to him. The whispering wasn't due to her being considerate, but because she didn't want to reveal themselves without her master's permission. I do not mind staying here. I find this to be amusing, and this woman intrigues me, he informed them, ending any further discussions. As you wish, Helanya intoned. She was not satisfied with the situation, but would fulfill her master's wishes. The woman looked back at them, an embarrassed expression on her face. I apologize for my home. Ever since I began living on my own, this size is all that I can afford, she tried to explain to them. Nonsense. You are generous with your hospitality, allowing us to stay here when we have only met one another, Han expressed himself. If you have not eaten yet, please allow me to express our appreciation for your consideration. He estimated that it was slightly after midday now, so it wasn't likely that she had eaten if she spent her morning gathering those plants. Looking perplexed, the woman exclaimed, My lord, how can I expect you to prepare a meal for me? I will not hear another word. Do not concern yourself, and just enjoy my humble meal, Han said. Brittany, I'd like you to bring me 4 steak meals. Also, include a refreshing drink. Bring all the necessary things for 4 people, Han commanded this personal maid. Yes, master, I will bring everything to you forthwith, Brittany replied. Waving his hand, Han made 2 comfortable-looking sofas appear. The woman was startled by the sudden appearance of the 2 sofas. He sat down with Queen on his left and Helanya on his right. With a sigh, Han relaxed into the couch and pulled the 2 closer to him. The 2 of them squealed in delight from the sudden public display of affection. Seeing the woman looking dazed, he laughed and said, Have a seat. I assure you that these sofas are extremely comfortable to sit on, he attempted to reassure her. Sitting down and sinking into the sofa, the woman asked, How did you make these appear? I'm sure you understand that magic exists, correct? He inquired, and seeing her nod her head, he continued, You can think of me as being a simple magician. My companions, glancing at Helanya and Queen, and I are just taking in the sights of this kingdom and happen upon this village. The way he said it made everything sound like such a simple task, which it was, but not for a human. I've never seen someone able to perform this kind of magic before, she tried to rationalize everything she was seeing and hearing. Just think of this as being a minor thing. Aside from this, I have another thing I want to demonstrate to show my appreciation. As he said this, a portal opened up, and several waitresses appeared bringing a table, silverware, and other fine dining accessories. After they had set up everything, they curtsied to him and then proceeded into the portal. Brittany then came out with a single dish for him and was followed by other waitresses bringing in the remaining dishes. The waitresses and Brittany then went off to the side so they could be ready to return anything needed. Sweeping his hand to indicate everything, Han asked, "I hope this is all to your taste. If the food is not to your liking, the waitresses can bring a different dish. Feel free to eat." Rubbing his hands in anticipation, Han began cutting up the steak and eating a piece. The beef was cooked to perfection, and he smiled at how amazing it tasted. Seeing that he had started eating, both Helania and Queen began. They looked elegant the way they moved their fork and knife. With their mannerism, anyone would have thought them to be nobility. The woman initially hesitated, but seeing them eating, she also tried the food. When the steak went into her mouth, the taste was nothing like she had experienced. Even back when her husband was able to bring in meat, it didn't taste like anything like what she was eating. The meat seemed to dissolve in her mouth, so she barely needed to chew. Looking at her plate, she could see teardrops falling into her food. Touching her face, she realized that she was crying. This was the first time that anyone had done such a kind thing to her in ages. The way the couple treated her was very much what she experienced all throughout the village. She was treated with contempt and seen as an eyesore, probably due to her having no one to help her. Lately, all she was able to eat was what she was able to gather in the forest. Even the vegetables on her plate seemed entirely different from what she had eaten before. Watching how she reacted to food, Han found it adorable and endearing. It made him happy to see someone enjoying food to such a degree. Thinking back to what he had seen, he doubted that her life in this village was easy. "I am glad that you are enjoying your food. You should also try the fruit juice," he said while smiling. Queen looked like she was confused by how the woman was eating. The fact that this woman was allowed to eat with her master was beyond what this cretin deserved. She thought about how her master was so caring and thoughtful, to be even thinking about this lowly being. Her feelings and admiration for her creator grew to new heights. A part of her wanted to summon a legion of skeletons and raise this village for disrespecting her creator. Sensing their thinking, Han placed his hand on their thigh. As he caressed their thigh, he could see that he was getting a reaction out of them. He enjoyed watching them hold themselves back, especially in front of an outsider. "I am terribly sorry, but I forgot to introduce myself and ask for your name. I am Han. This is Crane, and this is Helania. They are my dear companions." Putting down her utensils, the woman bowed her head and said, "My lord, I am called Ellis. Thank you for everything that you have done for me. Your kindness knows no bounds." Seeing him indicate for her to lift her head and to continue eating, she tackled the remaining food on her plate and drank the fruit juice. The drink was amazingly refreshing, a sweet overtone with hints of tart undertones. Compared to fruits she had eaten before, there was more depth to this flavor, as if it would wash over her. Where did these nobles come from to have such amazing magical abilities in food? Alice thought to herself. From tales she had heard from merchants, there were some mages in the capital, but the term magician was not one she was familiar with. Are magicians more powerful than mages or sorcerers? Being inside of a small village didn't allow for much exposure to the world, so she found this all fantastic. After they had eaten, he had Brittany bring them some tea to help digest the meal. Drinking the tea helped him to not feel the usual food coma after such a heavy meal. While they drank their tea, he discussed with Ellis about basic things in this world. He had a general understanding from what the system provided him with, but not a detailed picture. "Are all the villages similar to this one?" Han asked. "No, my lord. Due to how far away this village is to the capital and with few resources, we don't get a lot of merchants or travelers coming here. We make enough from the trade to survive, decently at least, but nothing like the towns and villages towards the center of the kingdom. She spoke, feeling a little forlorn. Placing his hand on his chin, Han mulled over this. He then said, "This probably means that the more interesting things are closer or at the capital." Considering it was still a ways until nightfall, Han believed they could continue with their travels. It wouldn't be so bad to enjoy the beautiful weather and travel instead of just appearing in the capital. He continued to think about this. Reaching a decision, he looked at Ellis and smiled. "Ellis, how would you like to travel with us and see the rest of the kingdom?" My lord?" Ellis asked, surprised by this invitation. "From what I have seen in this village, there isn't much here for you. You have no strings keeping you attached to this dreary place, and the village doesn't seem to treat you with the respect you deserve. Also, I would enjoy having you around to help us on the local customs. I believe this would be beneficial for both parties," he reassured her. In a calm manner, he blew into the teacup he was cradling in his hands, enjoying the warmth from the tea. There was something satisfying about drinking tea while talking about new events. A lot better than coffee, the way you get all jittery from the caffeine. Drinking the tea also gave you a semblance of looking calm and patient, making the other party think that such a request was only natural. After getting her cup filled with more tea and lightly added with milk and honey, Ellis brought the cup to her lips and drank the cleansing beverage. She thought about what life outside the village would be like, no longer being verbally abused and getting to experience the new and wonderful things. A part of her felt some pain, thinking about leaving behind the memories of her late husband, but she knew that this is what he would want her to do. Looking at Han, she answered, "My lord, please allow me to travel with you." "Fantastic," Han said, clapping his hands. Both Helania and Queen glanced at one another, enjoying the master looking so happy. They didn't understand why this woman needed to accompany them, but if their master was pleased, then that was all that mattered. The two of them could handle anything if she tried to harm their precious master, so they weren't concerned about this woman coming along.